Great-grandmother surpassed the meaning of life and stood still in the distance of time. A whole century of historical gaps lingered at the front and back of her life. Great-grandmother remains silent all year round. In the soft and silent century of my great-grandmother, my grandfather's generation has long been obliterated, only leaving her elder woman standing on the cliff line of the family and looking down at her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Great-grandmother's eyes were covered with cataracts, which made her look down beyond the limits of humanity, diffuse the vastness of the universe, and show the ancient and profound equivalent to the material. Great-grandmother has continued her habits and mentality of the last years of the Qing dynasty. Great-grandmother doesn't take showers. Great-grandmother's body echoes the mixed smell of coffins and pins all year round. Great-grandmother doesn't brush her teeth. Great-grandmother doesn't believe planes. Great-grandmother doesn't watch TV. Great-grandmother doesn't understand any language other than the dialect of her homeland, not even the Mandarin transmitted by radio waves. Every morning of my great-grandmother is used to freshen up. The style of the Qing dynasty is her daily ritual that has never changed since the days in the past century. Then great-grandmother sits there without saying a word and looks at what she sees at her first sight continuously. Her elder woman's looking is like a philosophical study, but it's also turning a blind eye, and it's plausible. It's like historical conclusions shrouded in vagueness and emptiness. Every winter, my great-grandmother always swirls under the sun, and the sun seems doesn't understand her, so just put a shadow behind her body. This was a woodcut composition of my great-grandmother in my heart over 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I went to Beijing alone to study. When I left home early in the morning, I looked back at my great-grandmother's small attic. My great-grandmother got up early and stood wrinkled at the window of the small attic, and her vicissitudes of the years covered her cheeks in folds of a net. The static posture of my great-grandmother was like antique porcelain, and all the cracks declared the archaeological significance. I knew her elder woman could not see me, but still waved at her. I guessed that this might be the farewell, and endless sorrow was raised in my heart. 10 years later, my great-grandmother was still placed at the window like the antique porcelain. I was already the father of my son then, and the wind erosions of a decade were everywhere. Great-grandmother stayed still, and the significance of 10 years was just another layer of dust on the surface of the ancient porcelain. Due to my father's expedited telegram, I returned home with my wife and child. My home was placed at the bottom of a long lane in a gray-brown town. To enter my home, we needed to turn 5 corners in the alley and cross 11 thresholds. It contained a dark and damp aisle, above which was a wooden loft with living my great-grandmother. The space in the attic has become another universe because of my great-grandmother. It bewilders in the corner of my home. Great-grandmother does not allow anyone to enter it. When I was very little, I had heard great-grandmother said, "Don't try to enter it unless I die." Then my father always said, "Why saying die while doing well? Nobody could even think about it except us."